What I'm going to talk about today are some concepts, some ideas, some things from history, I want to bring into awareness some things that have been made evident to me and perhaps are not yet evident to the masses. The best example and most recent that has been given me is through the Holocaust and the treatment of the Jewish people in Germany. In the book Conversations with God, the author was asking God about how is it possible that Hitler went to heaven, did not go to hell. Okay. First, I will say there is no such thing as hell outside of this body. The feeling of being separate from God is as close to hell as we can achieve. We feel that when we are incarnate in a body, we feel like we are separate from God. No matter how much our minds tell us differently, no matter how much we understand the concepts in spirituality and religious teachings, we still feel like we are outside of or separate from God. When we sit in meditation, when we connect through the heart, when we connect to the Christ within, we may feel whole at those times, but there will still be moments when we feel alone. That is hell. Okay. So, back to the man who was known as Hitler. It is really important for us at this time to understand that Hitler would not have been able to influence, achieve, create the situation. He would not have been able to give orders, dictate the deaths of people if those behaviors and commands and orders had not been upheld and desired by the people of that time in that place. This is speaking about the human race as a collective consciousness. We, as the human race, are a collective consciousness. I have spoken about free will in other videos, and there are some distinctions here. Free will does exist. However, what also exists is a collective consciousness that, in numbers, can manifest reality. So, what we're seeing on the planet at this time is we're seeing a great diversity of mind and concept surrounding something called a pandemic, and the way of addressing that thing. Okay, so this thing could not be happening unless there were a large number of people who want to have that experience. And there are going to be those of you who are going to completely disagree with me. but the truth just is, okay? Things cannot go on. So just like Hitler, Hitler, that man, cannot hold the responsibility of the deaths of all those people, because there were a lot of people who allowed that to happen, who were in that vicinity. Okay? If the planet was such that that was not an acceptable practice, that event could not have occurred. Period. So then what we are left with is there was this occurrence which ended lives. One might say prematurely. In the realm of spirit, that is not the case, because none of it was premature, it just was. The way we see it from the human perspective is that, these deaths could have been avoided, and this was a tragedy. From a human perspective, it was a tragedy. From the perspective of spirit, this was the level of consciousness on the planet at the time that allowed for this event to occur. In other words, there were enough people who were vibrating at that level of energy that brought this event into manifestation. Now, why does this matter? It matters because someone said to me that I am one of those people. She said that I am one of those people who refuses to learn from history regarding disease and vaccination, because I'm not doing that. And what I felt in that moment was that the history that is not being learned is the one of the Holocaust, where enough people are still vibrating at an energetic level that is willing to dictate the lives, behaviors, medical choices of other people. Okay, so these are two very different perspectives regarding the same issue. From the perspective, when I look at it from the perspective of the Holocaust, what I'm going to tell you is the way that began was the Jewish people, the Jews were seen as a problem. They were the scapegoat that Hitler and others used to blame. They blamed them for their life, their situation, the conditions in which they live, and they made it all to be the fault of the Jewish people. And that was how that whole thing began. One of the stages was that those who wanted to persecute the Jewish people began saying that the Jewish people were diseased and that they were to be feared because they carried diseases that could infect the German people. I'm going to tell you from my perspective, this is not political. Today, I am not a Trump supporter. I don't support any candidate today. I support the people. And I think the people should be able to vote on the issues, and a president isn't necessary. But what I saw when Trump was elected president the first time was how those who had voted otherwise were discriminating against the people who supported Trump. That's what I saw. I will tell you that because of that, when Trump was running for president the second time, I voted for Trump. I voted for Trump because I was voting against the criticism and the bigotry that was directed at the people who supported him. Because a lot of those people were my friends and family, and I knew them to be very good people, and I knew that they did not deserve the criticism and the contempt that they were receiving from the other side of things. Then came this coronavirus thing. Okay. So this thing begins to play out, and those who are fearful demonize those who are not fearful. Those who are not fearful begin to push back regarding their rights and their bodies. Many good things have come from this so far. We have seen people who wanted to make abortion illegal understand the danger of trying to pass laws based on a person's body and their choices regarding their body, and those people are beginning to see that now because they're many of them on the opposite side of the vaccination issue. My body, my choice. I have always been that way. Did not matter what it was about, whether it was abortion, whether it was vaccination. I really believe my body, my choice, your body, your choice, your contract. Your body is your contract. My body is my contract. And I really feel that I have no right to say what you can and cannot do with your body. As I would not want anyone else to be able to dictate what I can and cannot do with mine. Okay? Today, the message of the Holocaust and what was to be gained from that experience seems to have gotten lost or misconstrued. And as I see the finger pointed at me from many, because I am not in alignment with this shot agenda, I am not in alignment with that, and I have no doubt in my mind that it is not for me. Jesus, the man with full-on Christ power, would have to come down and dictate to me otherwise, because at this point I am pretty steadfast in my feeling on it for myself. But here we are again. Here we are again. 2021, and still willing to usurp power over others, to force something that we feel is the right thing onto other people. Have we learned nothing? You want to talk about history repeating itself? Has nothing to do with the flu or a virus of any kind, and everything to do with where your consciousness is. How much honor and value do you give to life? How much honor and value do you give to another soul's journey? At what point are we going to stop trying to control and manipulate other people? When are we going to stop dictating how others should live their lives? This is not to say that we do, when it comes to children, when it comes to those who cannot defend themselves, we absolutely have a right to step in defense of them. That is not what we are talking about. This is not what we are talking about here. If you are a parent, you are allowed to dictate whether your child wears a mask or gets a shot. Just as I am able to make that choice for mine. Why do I say that, and why is that okay? And why does that resonate on a spirit level? Because my child knew who I was before coming into the body as my child. My child knew what kinds of issues might come up. My child was well informed before coming into this life who his mother was. Just as yours were informed. The things that are playing out on this planet right now is definitely a repeat of history, but not in the way that some people are thinking. This is a repeat in history over the level of consciousness and what we are going to allow as far as overstepping boundaries. Healthy boundaries. But this also speaks to war, okay? Once again, this thing would not happen, would not still be going on if the energy of the planet was high enough that we were no longer willing to kill each other. I personally do not want the responsibility of telling someone else what they should put in their body because it might kill them. I'm not talking about this shot specifically. It could be anything. It could be anything. A person could have an allergic reaction to anything that I might dictate that they use, that I might insist that they do, or put on them, or put in them, okay? I personally would not want to be responsible to be making that choice for another human being. Everybody's looking at it from the perspective that, okay, not everybody, correction. Some people are looking at it as though I am inconsiderate and do not care if I cause harm or damage to other people. That is not the case. What is the case is, I have already decided that this is not right for me. Period. For whatever reason, it is not right for me. I accept and allow everyone else to make that decision for themselves. Have I counseled people about concerns regarding this thing? Absolutely. Have I said I have great concerns about this? Please, please, please know what you're doing. Absolutely. Would I have wanted to stop them from doing it? No way. No way. No. Even though I was fearful for their lives, for what may or may not happen to them if they did it, I would not have taken that choice away from them because it was not mine to take. History has repeated itself. But if you think it is about an illness, you are missing the point. You are missing the point. It is about blaming, judging, and demonizing other people. So, where are you in your consciousness? Are you loving to other people so long as they pose no threat to you? Guess what? No one knows who poses a threat to them. No one knows. Are we going to continue to silence people who speak words we do not want to hear? Because if we are, you will be next. I am not allergic to strawberries, for example. If I insist that the whole world start eating strawberries and you happen to be allergic to them, what happens to you? Oh, but Missy, that's only strawberries. But it isn't. But it isn't. You're missing the point. Once again, what we must be aware of is that things occur here that are a direct reflection of where we align energetically. We need to really look at what it means to be loving. I mean, is it really loving to okay, how would you feel? All right. How would you feel if everyone got this shot because you want them to get this shot, and every person who would have refused but wasn't given the option to refuse ended up dying because they took that shot? Would that be okay with you? But you, for whatever reason, have yourself convinced that that is not a possibility. But it is a possibility. Just as it is a possibility that those of us who have refused to get the shot may die. That also is a possibility. But then it was my choice to not get it. And then it is my choice, and it was my decision to do that. I accept that. If my choice ends this body, I accept that. Because that's what feels right for me. If there are so many things that we look at in our world that are askew, it is unreal, and this is only one. I urge everyone who might listen to this video to take a look at the Holocaust again. Take a look at it. Take a look at the underlying psychological workings going on there. You know, so many people that are on the one side of this issue are so against racism and prejudices. But they're not able to see how they are a part of that and how they are perpetrating it today. in regard to the scenario we're in. Isn't that interesting? It's so obvious to me. I'm just going to leave that here today. This was something that was impressed upon me from some readings that I've been doing, and really think we need to take a look at where we are in our consciousness, where we are. I mean, that we can allow fear to justify these acts of unrighteousness, because that is what it is. It is in complete defiance of love. It is in complete opposition to what it is to be loving. And as long as individuals resonate at that level where they are willing to oppress and force other people to do their own bidding, they will be subject to disease and illness. Because that's where you're vibrating. That's where your energetic resonance is. It is not until you let go of those things and let go of trying to control other people and control other things that you will no longer be susceptible to those lower vibrational, energetic manipulations. That's kind of what it is. All things being energy. I honor your path. I honor your choice for yourself. I strongly, strongly, strongly encourage that you look at how you are perceiving the situation. If you go within and connect with Christ, if you go within and connect with love, it will become clear. Get out of the head. Get out of the head the information that is being fed to that what you call a brain. There is a higher intelligence, and it isn't numbers on a screen. There is a higher intelligence. In a state of fear, you are susceptible to these things, absolutely. In a state of fear. And it is only from a state of fear that a person would ever dictate what someone else does with their body. That does not come from a loving place, ever. It comes from a place of fear. Once fear is eradicated, there will be no disease. There will be no illness. It is that simple. In peace and love, may you be blessed.